Phil, brilliant afternoon today, horrible weather, but you asked for a performance and you certainly got one, didn't you?
I think I've said this to you before now. I mean, I've been involved in football a long time, and I've probably got over a couple of thousand games under my belt with regards to playing, coaching and management. And that Southport win in extra time when we were down to 10 men is something of a rarity. And then you come to the National League North, or you come to the National League level, and sometimes facilities can't withstand the weather conditions, but if you feel positive about it, whether you turn up at 12 o'clock and the weather conditions are adverse then, and you're predicting what they're going to be like at 5 o'clock, which, it's not much difference, to tell you the truth. Was the game going to survive? That was the big thing. But to a man, and I'm talking about Rizzo, people like that, who've been at the football club for 10, 12 years. The chairman had a pitchfork in his hand. The chairman's son, myself, my backroom staff. We wanted the game on, and the reason why we wanted the game on, we just wanted to put to bed. It was hanging over my head in a bad way, the fact that we just didn't turn up. And it's only one game in 12, probably, that we really haven't showed up, but Darlington did show up, and we got dismissed in no uncertain terms. I remember the thought process when I was asked if I wanted to carry on when the floodlights failed. And my thought process was, well, I've got a bad hand here, we're 4-1 down, I need this game to be off. I should never be thinking like that as a manager. I should be thinking, no, I'll take whatever comes, because that's football. And that's what I did today. New lease of life to a certain extent, and delivered to the players a more positive team talk beforehand. The preparation, the players that we've got are brilliant. They're on side with everything we're trying to do, in amongst adverse weather conditions, in amongst the way the facilities are at the moment. The pitch was just starting to fail towards the end, but the support, and it got a special mention in the team talk after the game. The support I've had from the players has been nothing short of brilliant. It's a none more so highlight than Mark Jones's performance today. Yesterday we were talking about loaning him out, because I was saying to Jonesy, I need you to get some minutes under your belt, some match time, because the two times that he's played for us, he lasted 25 minutes in the first game, and then the next game he got sent off after 10 minutes. So I haven't really had the pleasure of Jonesy's match awareness, his experience at this level. And we had it today for 60 minutes, and I said to him at half time, don't think you're coming off at half time. And he hasn't played for a while, but he was one step away from getting a loan move to a step 4 team, and I was ready to sanction it, because I need him fully fit. I think a Mark Jones fully fit would be a pleasure to manage at this level. He's a handful off the field of play as a manager, and he's a handful on the field of play as a player. And I want that on our side. I want that as a string to our bow. So him and Ben Beresford as a physical duet. And as a manager, you've got to run the risk of losing one or two players. And I'm thinking about Shaq Colthurst, and that same train of thought about how many minutes can I get him on the field of play before he starts a game. And then he started against Oxford, and he came off the bench against Darlington, and he came off the bench again today. And he's a threat. He has got that threat, but you can talk all day about red cards and, down to 9 men. I thought from minute 1 we gave them a game. When it was 11 against 11, I was disappointed that when the first goal went in, it was only the first one. I thought we had 2 or 3 very good chances.
Yeah, indeed. We came out of the blocks really well, and everything, it has to be said, early doors was a gain from this left-hand side with Muzzy, wasn't it? Putting in some quality balls, getting down the line. Must have been a disappointment when he had to go off.
Well, again, you go back to pre-seasons and stuff like that. There's always a reason behind why Muzzy can only give us so much, and I've tried to wrap him up in cotton wool. He's come off the back of bronchitis he had when I dragged him all the way to, I don't know if it was Darlington or whether it was Oxford or whether it was one of the way, it might have been Macclesfield, and I've dragged them all the way there, not knowing full well that the lad's 35, 36, 30, maybe 37-year-old, but what an effect. He's a great player at this level. He's one of the better ones that can handle the ball and can dictate your style of play and dictate the way the game's going. And again, go back to Jonesy and having a conversation with Jonesy, and Jonesy saying, I haven't scored goals for this football club of late because we didn't have wingers that could get the ball in. So he's making reference to, just let me play, and I know the balls are going to come in. And Muzza in the first probably 20 minutes produced about 7 or 8 crosses, and I'm thinking, doesn't matter who they're playing out there. And they had a game plan, don't get me wrong, they had a game plan, and they were playing a centre half out as a right wing back to try and stop Muzza from playing. Not that they knew about our tactics before the game, but they had a centre half out there that they were trying to hit on a diagonal ball and win the aerial threat down that side of the pitch. Muzza didn't deal with the aerial side of it, but he had able support from behind by Connor Wood. Connor's growing into playing for us, he's growing into the position, he's growing into the way we play, the style of football, and he's a pleasure to watch. And he's one of them that's had a pre-season, so you can see there's a strength in his game. So there's a lot of individual problems that we've got, but we can mask it over with team performances like today.
Indeed, and there was performances all over the pitch today, wasn't there? And we've mentioned Jonesy a couple of times. There'll be a lot of sports fans that are really, really pleased to see him back on the pitch. But he looked really good up there with Ben, didn't he? And yeah. Ben seems to get better game after game. Sometimes
you look at Ben, you forget that he's only 21-year-old kid who's just finished his apprenticeship at Blues and looked like he was going to sign for Kidderminster under us, and then he got a terrible injury and never seen him for about 3 months, and his career went sort of backwards. Then Blues paid him off, and next thing you know, he's in the wilderness. He went to Alfredton, didn't really fit into their plan there, and he's came here. He knows what I want from a striker. I want a goal scorer. I want people that score goals, and if you wear the number 9, you're either scoring goals or you're taking the brunt of the pressure that centre halves put you under, which is fairly physical. Jonesy does that. So at the moment, you could say it looks like a marriage in heaven, but not many people would say that about 2 big strikers. Normally it's one that's a little number 10 that's clever, gets into pockets of space. And I've been playing Luca Miller alongside Ben Beresford, and you think that's a marriage made in heaven because of the quality of Luca. But I decided to keep Luca on the field of play and drop him into a midfield berth. His awareness at this level is great for me. He had Muzza out wide for an early pass if he wanted it. He's got the strikers, and he was getting spills into midfield, and he was playing from there. There was a lot to like about that first half performance, in my opinion.
Indeed, and you mentioned Luca there, did a lot of running today, I thought, and another person we need to mention who did an awful lot of running today was Dan Jarvis again.
DJ's took the captaincy. I mean, we had a very respectful conversation because before I arrived at the football club, Jonesy was club captain, and I haven't took the club captaincy away from anybody. It's wearing the armband and wearing it with pride and wearing it with a sense of responsibility, and that's what DJ has done. He's grabbed a hold of it, and looks like he's tweaked his hamstring as well. So the workload that we've had, I mean, dear me, we've had 4 away games that we've travelled the length and breadth of the country, and sometimes these lads are working as well, Sometimes you don't take that into consideration, but you have to. And I'm taking that into consideration. That's the reason why we're getting these little tweaks and little niggles. Charlie Hickenbottom's been out since probably the 2nd or the 3rd game playing for us, and he's looking likely that he's going to be joining in training, light training soon. But we can't keep on going around. That's probably now 4 hamstrings that we've got. So whether I'm pushing them too far or whether the conditions are just conducive to hamstring tears at this level, I don't know.
Well, funnily enough, I was going to mention that. Is that something you think to do with not training every day?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's getting the body used to the rigours of first and foremost of me as a professional. That's not to say they're not professional, but the rigours of me as a professional, nipping from part-time into hybrid, that step for me is the best step you can make, because you're going into 3 days a week and a game of football at the weekend. So there's 4 out of the 7. Pros are only 1 more, because they always have a Wednesday off and they always have a Sunday off after a game, unless it's a drop the client on a Saturday and you're in for the Sunday for a video or whatever it is. But I'm not talking about delivering that kind of stuff. I'm talking about going from part-time to hybrid, and then hybrid to full-time, which might be a 2-year cycle, I don't know, but contracts have to be rewritten. But all of that is being spoken of behind closed doors with the chairman for the last couple of months.
Okay, and that's really interesting. I've heard people talk about that. You don't have any timescales for that at all, but it's definitely something that everybody at the club wants, is it?
Well, there's a lot of people want it. I mean, certainly off the field of play, all the coaching staff, we're willing, and we're willing to turn up and give players now whatever they need on their days off. A lot of the players obviously don't hide behind the fact that they're full-time work. It's a fact of life. So I understand that, but at the same time, how do you fit a warm down in? You know, a warm down routine. Tomorrow's a day with family. I'm never going to take a Sunday away from them. Tomorrow's a day with a family. Monday's a warm down day, extended warm down, whatever. And then maybe a video review. Then Tuesday might be a game, but it's a hard day training anyway. We've got that covered. But it's after a hard day of work here because it's 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. Wednesday, day off. Thursday, exactly the same as a Tuesday to a certain extent. Friday's the one. Friday's the one where I can do set pieces which get you wins at this level. And I don't mean penalties and stuff like that or red cards. I mean set pieces do get you wins, and that was their threat today. Not their only threat, they've got a good side, but that was their threat today and we dealt with it.
And that we've seen you do that before games, seen you do shape stuff before games. And
Trying to pinch it, Nige. Just trying to pinch it. I'm trying to pinch a couple of minutes here, a couple of minutes here, which is not. It's not going to empty the fuel tank. The fuel tank's important, as we've witnessed. You know, if you can run for 90 minutes, you've got a great chance as an 11. But if you go down to 9 and 10 men, you're gonna struggle.
So Bedford next then, back-to-back games here that we spoke about on Thursday. Got for a great start and 3 points today. Bedford Tuesday night. That's a real cracker now. I mean, if anybody is going to come and watch Peterborough Sports for the first time, come on Tuesday, surely.
Absolutely. I think it's been an exciting game today for different reasons, for various reasons. You've seen 3 very good goals. Should have been more, if truth be known. And it could have been more, but that was against 11 v 11 as well. But when it went down to 10, they were still a threat. You know, they still believed in themselves. When they came out at half-time, they played 2 against 2 at the back, and the midfield didn't change and the front 2 didn't change. So there was still a threat going forward. And bearing in mind, they're averaging something like an XG of 2.3, which is fairly high. In fact, it's the best in the league. Did they get to that 2.3 today? Probably not with the sendings off. But at the same time, they're thrown at it. Plenty of money, don't get me wrong, the budget's quite high, but they've thrown good players at us today and we dealt with it, we coped with it. But more importantly, we put the ball past them 3 times and it could have been more.
No, thank you very much, Phil. Congratulations today and see you Tuesday night.
Thank you very much.